my mum's staying with me just for a few days. She came up yesterday. Um, it's highly annoying. She's been here such a short time, and we've had so many arguments already. Um, I, last week, she wanted me to fill out a form to try and get the child, and I said I wouldn't help her because we've done this all. It was very, very stressful. We spent days doing the form. So she went through a 10-week test, which I didn't even get, which was very annoying. And I think she did half of it, and then they stopped and they said that you failed basically. And so I don't know why there's another form, but my mum went to Snappy's, printed out the form, and then said, can you help me transfer this to this email? And I was like, well, you've printed it out. If it's printed out, I can't transfer it on email. Like, oh no, Sophie's boyfriend says you can take a picture of it. And I was just like, well, that's not very appropriate. Surely the form is online. And he's like, yeah, but you said you wouldn't help me. And it's just like, yeah, I said I wouldn't help you because I don't think you're capable of looking after a baby. I mean, if you can't even go online and look up, and find a form and fill out a form, then how can you look after a baby? Looking after a baby is a lot harder than just going online, typing out a few words, I think it was a C2 form or something, going online, typing out C2 form, pressing a button, filling out the form. That is so much easier than looking after a baby. And yet you couldn't do it. You had to go to Snappy's to print out the form, asking them to find the form. And then now you're asking me to send the form via email, even though it's in a physical paper. And it's just like, do you not understand that you can't send a physical paper? And but yes. Anyway, so I was looking at the. Can you get out the room, please, Linda? Actually, can you get out? And you look ridiculous wearing that. She's got this dressing gown that just doesn't fit her, and it's got massive holes on her knee patches, and she keeps sewing it up, and she keeps breaking. She thinks it's normal to wear. She looks ridiculous in it. I swear most of the stuff she looks ridiculous in. But yeah, and so she does just really things like that. And my sister called, and apparently she's already told the social workers that she got pregnant. So I'm not revealing it for the first time, which is good. Um, I felt I needed to say, just because I needed to express where my depression has come from. I found out just after the television awards, when I went to Kew Gardens the next day. That's when I found out that Sophie was pregnant again, and my depression has sort of stepped in. Yes, I have depression, but my depression is caused by real life situations and real life simulations. The thought of having to go through another 9 months of my mum constantly obsessing about a baby that she can't look after, not realizing that she can't look after it because she can't do basic things like just go online and find a form. And then when she does go to Snappy's, get them to give the form, she asks me to try and send the form via email, even though it's in a physical paper. It's like, oh, okay, yes, you can take a picture, but it's not going to be very easy, handwritten and stuff. And anyway, I told her, I will help you, but I will help you by giving you the computer and just typing in C2 form, and then you can do it. So I did that much for her, and she did manage to. And then I had to email it. She had the email, but anyway, yeah, it's just. If someone can't do basic things, then how can they be expected to look after a child? And then just to know that she just goes on and on and on about just the same things, and it's just so frustrating, and I don't want to hear. But at the same time, it's just like still my mum, and I don't want her to be. But anyway, I I'm going to go to the spa again. I didn't go to the spa at all last week. Well, I did, but the one time I went, the jacuzzi was closed, and because of the scar on my back, I probably shouldn't have gone. So I need to do some more down timing and try and cheer myself up. I'm very happy with the Lego figures, but they have not arrived in the post yet. So until they arrive, I'm not going to be that happy. And I bought 10 skirts as well. I've got loads of females. I always pair them up, male and female, with a couple of three pairs, and there's There's a couple of gays as well. But yeah, very few of them have skirts, and I've got 10 skirts. I'm going to choose which of the females that have sort of trousers I'm going to swap to skirts. Skirts look better, definitely. But yes, actually, that is something that I want to do. Someone wants to give me a present. I'm going to, when I get this 10 skirts and rearrange the pairs with their new skirts. Take a picture of all of them, and if people want to send me a picture, or send me a present, you have to send me a Lego figure that I don't have. I don't want two of the same. I want them all to be different. I think I do have a couple that are same, but that's only because I didn't have that many females. There seems to be more males than females in the Lego collection. So, but yes, there's a couple of repeats, but not many. But yes. This morning it was, I started looking at Jacqueline Glenn's videos. I find she always cheers me up. She's a very smart person. She analyzes things. I think she was the reason why I started making these kind of videos, because I looked at the videos that she was doing, and it's like, I want to do this, only I want to kind of change things. I'm not going to make it so much just about insulting Christianity. I'm going to make it more about retelling Christianity. But I love how she just insults it and kind of turns it into a joke. That's what I love most about her. There's good and bad things in all religions except for the Muslim one. In which case, I think it is just, he's the angel of the backward religion. That's the only thing that I can say about him, because almost everything that people say about the Islamic belief is not things that I agree with. They think you shouldn't want worldly possessions and stuff, and I'm just like, if you don't want worldly possessions, then you don't want to. Why would you want to live here? Why would you want to live here if you don't have? I mean, on one hand, you shouldn't have worldly possessions because there's way too many people here, and if everyone had a massive mansion and a nice car or 10 cars or whatever, there would be a huge amount of resources, that like trees cut up and just things needed to make this, and the world's resources would just dry up, and people have to live in flats because there's so many people that you could fit more people in a small land space if they live in flats or studio flats or something. But if they live in big houses, well, it takes up more land, and well, you can't have the planet just being one big city. You need to have lots of gardens and space. Although I am, if there is going to be a population reduction, I am massively in favor of getting rid of or knocking down any ugly building and just turning it into a park or a small wood or just a space full of trees. But yeah, right now there's so many people that litter. There's this big, small little tree area around you. There's quite a lot of actually green spaces in Nichos, and just everywhere you go, you just see it just looks like a big rubbish bin. And people just don't respect land space. If it's not if it's not something they own, then they don't respect it. And even if they do live in it, sometimes they still don't respect the land that they are being rented or renting from the council or stuff. And I don't even believe in council giving free houses to people, because when you do that, you just take houses off the market, and if houses come off the market, then house prices go up, and people like me have to leave London and leave elsewhere. And there's so many problems. On one hand, you can't have people homeless, but on the other hand, taking houses off the market is only going to make the market more expensive for people who want to buy to own. And I love the idea of buying a house, because I feel like it's mine, and if something's mine, I look after it. And if something's not mine, I'd be far tempted to just be like, well, it's not mine. I don't want to look after it. I don't want to pay. I don't want to make it look nice. I don't want to have a nice front garden if it's not mine. People have this attitude when it comes to houses that are not theirs. And therefore, I'm very in favor of people owning their own houses. But at the same time, I know when it comes to blocks of flats, people can get lazy and be like, oh, I don't want to repair that. And well, if you've got other people that are very particular and being like, oh no, the windows are falling apart, or that looks wrong, or this looks wrong, and that doesn't look safe. If you've got some people not wanting to pay and other people wanting to pay, then you have to come up with some sort of overall landlord that kind of forces people to pay and says, if you don't pay, there's going to be a debt on your house, and that debt is either going to be paid when you sell the house, or being forced to over time or whatever, take out a debt. I think there should be rules about this, and it complicates things when the council owns it, because it's like the council has to pay for it. And it's like, well, should the council pay for it? Because we're looking after buildings and stuff, and maintenance is expensive. And do you really want that expense? If the tenants aren't even paying the decent amount, and also if the tenant, if a council owns a 6 bedroom house and then gives it to a large family, you find I spoke to someone a few years ago in a jacuzzi about this, and she said that she knows someone, I don't think it was her, it was someone she knew, who had 6 children, and they all moved out, and now there's 2 people living in a 6 bedroom house, and the council can't get rid of them because they've lived in this house for 20 years, hence they have right over it. I think that their rent was incredibly low because they weren't on high income, and then basically you've just got a big house that's basically empty, whilst people like me or other people that want to buy houses and desperate for houses have to move further out of London. And there's just a massive mismanagement when it comes to social, like the government's owning large amounts of houses, because if the government owns a large amount of houses, it's very hard to look after a large amount of houses, whereas if the people own their own houses, it's good. But yeah, that also brings another one, because you were giving 25% discounts off flats, and that just made me feel so jealous. The fact that if I would have just gone for council flats and just paid, got it at a massive reduction because it was a council flat, that would have been the far better option. But I didn't do that because I didn't actually realize that there was an option at the time that was available. So I do think that's unfair. If someone's living in a house and you say, hey, we'll just give you 30% off the original value, and just like, oh, and we'll also charge it not from what it's worth now, but on the market for value now, but we'll charge it from what it was worth when you first moved in 10 years ago. It's like, what? So I could have lived in a big house for like £100,000, and what? Because and then which is now worth 200,000, but they're paying 100,000 because not only are they getting the discount, they're also getting a value of what it was when they first moved in, or something. I heard something like that, and I don't necessarily know how much is true, how much is not, but there's a lot of things that make me angry, and things like that make me angry because it made me feel like I'd made a mistake for not going for a council flat. So I feel like I made a mistake by not relying on the council to fucking house me and pay for it out of council money or whatever. It's just, why would that be a mistake? I should be rewarded for not having to just rely on the government to help me. It's just, I hate this world. I hate everything about this world. And I feel sick again. I got a temperature. It's not. I don't think it's a flu or anything. It's just a sort of mild cold. And yeah, I think Jacqueline did help me a bit. I've called her Angel of the Atheists. I don't know if she believes or not. I was certain that she did believe. And I don't know what it was, but there was a couple of things that I posted, and she posted in a way that made me feel like she knew, and her boyfriend too, or her husband. I think they're married. The one she has a kid with, I liked him, and he's got some really good songs, and I swear there's a couple of things that I've said about him, and he's posted something that makes me feel like he's listening, he's read my post or whatever. But I know the same thing happened with Rylan a couple of years ago, and the same thing happened with a lot of them, and I have no clue who knows what and who doesn't know, because on some hands I feel like they definitely do know, and then sometimes they post things that are like, what, do you know about me, what's going on? And it's horrible living in a confusion. And it's hard to unconfuse yourself when no one's talking to you. But yeah, I found this Tanisha, her song. I swear I didn't find it yesterday when I was looking for her songs, and I just found it today. Posted 3 days ago. But yeah, it's a positive version of a Muslim woman, exposing hair, but also being fairly modest. And I like that song. I got my own cereal.